Gasoline prices are the most visible economic metric in our everyday lives. For generations, we have driven past these illuminated numbers on street corners, watching the digits tick up and down. A gallon of milk or a loaf of bread rarely swings wildly in cost from a Tuesday to a Thursday, but fuel does. It is uniquely volatile, and when it moves, it follows a frustrating pattern economists call rockets and feathers. The cost at the pump shoots up in an instant, but drifts back down agonizingly slowly. It is easy to blame the person behind the register when it suddenly costs $50 to fill your tank. But to see what actually drives that volatility, we have to break open a single gallon and look inside. The final total you see on the sign is a composite receipt. It is the bill for a massive, multi-layered global supply chain, compressed into a single liquid. This diagram represents exactly what you are paying for. The base layer, taking up the vast majority of the container, is crude oil. Before a drop of fuel reaches your car, companies are drilling deep into the earth and operating massive extraction facilities. The sheer physical effort required to pull this unrefined material from the ground establishes a heavy baseline financial cost. Crude is a globally traded commodity. It moves across oceans, selling to whoever is willing to pay the current market rate. That means a supply disruption on another continent or a sudden manufacturing boom in Asia instantly changes the value of the raw material. The ripples hit your local station within days. But you cannot pour raw crude into a Honda Civic. That brings us to the second layer of our gallon, refining. Converting that raw material into combustible motor fuel requires intense industrial processing. Domestic refineries operate as a strict physical bottleneck. When a facility goes offline for routine maintenance or due to extreme weather, the national supply of usable gasoline shrinks immediately. Add in predictable human behavior, and that bottleneck gets tighter. Every year, millions of families pack their cars for the summer driving season. The rigid limits of our processing facilities, combined with millions of drivers hitting the road at the exact same time, forces the cost of this specific layer to expand every summer. Once the fuel is refined, we hit the third layer, moving a heavy, highly flammable liquid across a continent, and the taxes applied along the way. Transporting the finished product from coastal refineries to inland cities requires an immense logistical network of heavy machinery and thousands of miles of underground pipelines. From those central storage hubs, vast fleets of commercial tanker trucks take over, driving the final, localized leg of the journey to keep individual stations supplied. Layered right on top of those logistical expenses are government fuel taxes, which are quietly baked into the final number you see at the pump. Because the physical distance from a refinery varies, and individual state governments set wildly different tax rates, this specific layer explains why gas prices look completely different just by crossing a state line. This brings us to the final, surprisingly thin top layer of our gallon, the retail margin. Down at the street level, gas stations are locked in constant microeconomic combat. Owners frequently shave their own profit margins down to pennies just to offer a slightly better deal than the stations sitting across the intersection. The local station owner, the person you actually hand your credit card to, has the absolute least amount of control over the final cost. They act mostly as a collection agent for the massive global and national layers beneath them. Look at this fully assembled gallon. When the cost to fill your tank spikes, it is rarely a single greedy decision made in isolation. It is a ripple effect traveling through a highly delicate supply chain. This entirely explains the rockets and feathers paradox. Stations raise their prices instantly out of fear that their next underground delivery will cost them far more. When global costs finally drop, those same stations lower prices slowly to safely recoup the heavy investments they already made. The next time you pull up to the pump, you can stop viewing the total on the screen as an arbitrary daily punishment. Those illuminated numbers on the street corner are actually a highly sensitive, real-time dashboard. They broadcast the exact status of international stability, industrial output, and local policy, all measured out 1 gallon at a time.